This dude says, how to join FaZe in 2024. Be a retard, have no talent, be friends with Aiden Ross, Kai Cenat, any big streamer, don't play video games and IRL stream. Your Rage responds back, he says, thank God you gave up. He posts a picture of this guy's fucking YouTube channel, and he has 179 views. 371 views. I will watch something about the FaZe stuff. I'm actually kind of curious to see what other people are saying about this. Haven't seen a single member of FaZe that isn't a retard? No, I think there's a lot of guys that are probably part of FaZe and they just show up, they do their job, they make their videos, they're funny, they've got a community. And Jeff, yeah, I remember like, cause I made a video about this whenever it happened, and people are like, oh, why are you calling out some guy named Jeff? I didn't know who that was really, right? Because like I don't really consume that kind of content. But apparently he's just like a super normal, like regular guy. I think that most people in FaZe probably weren't like that. It's like not everybody in the org can do a crypto scam.
Do not be alarmed, but I did run out of pomade, so I look like I have a 2011 Justin Bieber haircut.
Oh, true.
But I think it might work, because the 2010s are kind of having a moment. There's a lot of nostalgia there.
Good one.
It's been 14 years since 2010, and I don't think I'm the only one that thinks this, because some...
Wow.
Somebody else who's trying to tap into the 2010s nostalgia is FaZe Clan. They kind of dominated that era of gaming. FaZe up, baby! And it seems like they're making a comeback, or at least attempting to make a comeback.
Yep, they are.
They tweeted this out to the tune of 20 million impressions, Control-Alt-Delete.
It's a lot of fucking people.
And it's kind of that nostalgia, task manager.
I can't believe, like, finding out that you've been fired from your org through a GIF. And, like, people looking at the list, hey, where's my name?
Type of vibe.
That's
and
fucked.
they got, look at that, FaZe Keep member and a bunch of members' names, and then some cryptic messages.
Yep.
We'll get into what that means in just a moment. But first, it's been a while since we talked about FaZe. A year, in fact. And the last time we talked about them was...
More FaZe drama. FaZe Clan is going bankrupt. FaZe drama. The funny thing is I remember every single one of these.
Usually revolving around some bad decisions they made, or their horribly performing stock, which is only performing worse. Actually, not even performing at all, because it got delisted.
Ooh.
You don't know, FaZe got bought out for like the 100th time, this time by GameSquare, the company that owned Complexity. They sold Complexity back to the former owner Jason Lake, and then bought FaZe Clan for $15.75 million. And that is a far cry from the valuation it had a few years ago, at the
which was
start of
$1
COVID,
billion,
which I think they're valued at like almost $250 million. Maybe
no, it was more than that. It was more.
We're not there anymore. In fact, they lost $50 million in 2022, and now they are worth like a third, less than a third of what they
I mean, to lose $50 million in 1 year, that's impressive. Like, I would really have to work to lose $50 million in 1 year. That's hard.
Lost. So yeah, they're not doing great.
Yeah.
But around the same time that GameSquare bought them, FaZe Banks tweeted out on the main account, I got the passwords back, which led people to believe that FaZe Banks, one of the OGs, one of the founders of FaZe Clan, was in control of FaZe, which is what people ultimately wanted, because it felt like it was owned by this corporation, which was making poor decisions.
Well, it was super corpa. Like, for example, that Grace Fondine girl should have never been in FaZe. Never. And they were like, oh, we're going to bring you in to clean up their image? No, you're not. Just stop it. Just stop. No, it's not going to happen. It's like, no, it never will happen. It's the same thing with having Snoop Dogg. The only people that think that it was, and it was funny that it happened, but it was also stupid as hell. Snoop Dogg being part of FaZe Clan? What the fuck are you talking about? Many cases in the corpo world. Yeah, exactly. And that was a corpo decision. It made no sense. Yeah.
Who are fans of FaZe wanted it to feel like it was owned by actual FaZe members.
Right.
Makes sense, especially with a content-driven org like FaZe. And one of the first actions that was done was keeping a bunch of members, but also
dropping even
just
more.
A couple of frames on this video, cutting a bunch of members. FaZe/cut_member. Agony Blaze, Booyah,
I didn't see this part. So they actually made a death note of all the people that are getting kicked. See, this is the way that FaZe used to be. You have to understand that, like, these guys used to be the premier douchebags of the internet. And it was entertaining. Because it was just so fucking blatant. It was crazy. And they're going back to it.
Bunch of members. And we don't have to look
GameStop
through this.
video,
We can just
yes.
see it here. These are all of the members they cut. And they're only keeping these guys. They basically cut over half their roster. Which is a pretty big deal. Because that half of the roster is numbers 4 through 10 of their biggest streamers.
Yeah, I was surprised they dropped Kaylee because she streams all the fucking time, and she also streamed COD constantly. But yeah.
Lost over half their...
No girls allowed.
...hours watched just from
the
those
way it is.
Alone. So that's pretty big. But it's all part of a broader goal. Now we're going to focus on a couple of the bigger cuts that people are talking about. The first one, FaZe Rain, who is another one of the founders of FaZe. There's like 5 or 7 or something. There's a lot.
This is the guy that acted like an unhinged crackhead about the Grace Fondine joining FaZe. I remember this very clearly.
FaZe Rain left FaZe. He's one of the only OGs to have left FaZe.
I talked to him about it in DMs, and he leaked the DMs. I'm like, because I told him, I was like, yeah, I get where you're coming from. And then he goes and he fucking posts the DMs where I say that, takes the context out, and he's like, see? And I was like, I said this in the video. You didn't watch the video. The idiot. It is what it is.
On his own behalf. It's not because he
agrees with me,
not to resign. And he said, hey, I left FaZe, but contrary to popular belief, 51% of FaZe is still corporately owned. So although FaZe Banks tweeted out, got the password, he doesn't actually own the company. And again, if you don't know anything about business, simple as if you own 51% or more, a majority, you get to make all the calls, right?
I don't know if that's always true. It depends on the kind of stock you have and the way that the investment, like the, what do you call it? Like if you have Class C or Class S stock, like that's not 100% true, but generally it is.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
and
it's
he's
the voting
saying, I can't
structure,
get
exactly,
burned.
yeah.
I don't want to be in bed with a corporation that owns 51%, in this case, GameSquare. So I like FaZe. I will not be a member of FaZe as long as
it's full control with the minority. Yeah. I think it's called, is it referred to as a golden share? Like, I know that's referred to in terms of the way, like, China has ownership in companies, but I'm not sure if they use that here. Not golden shower. That's different.
Is bringing some concerns.
Depends on a person as well. Yeah.
Banks doesn't seem to have the same tune. He's almost talking as if he does have the control. So maybe he has a better relationship with the people who are corporately owning it, or has some plan to eventually own the majority. I don't know.
Well, realistically, the people that bought it probably are going to let FaZe Banks do whatever the fuck he wants. Because realistically, it can't get that much worse, right? So let him, fuck. Like, let's see what happens. That's what I would assume.
That has been making a lot of noise is when they cut FaZe member Kaylee.
Yep, we saw this.
And this was a crazy cut.
This was sad.
Because it happened when she was live on stream.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm being serious. I got kicked. One of the
What the
only
fuck is
members-
he drinking out of?
I got kicked.
Oh, I thought that was a milk jug. I was about to say. Okay, never mind.
One of the only members that can pull millions of impressions a week. Top streamer for Warzone.
And she's honestly right. I mean, she was the 4th biggest member of FaZe. She, like, if we're speaking candidly, is about the only woman I can think of who makes sense on FaZe, right? Like, it's not an org that you really think would be inclusive for women, but Kaylee...
Yeah, well, it's not anymore. Problem solved.
fit in really well. And she was a diehard FaZe member for the past like almost 3 years that she had been on the org. I'm aware of it, and I'm not even like a guy who watched FaZe growing up or now, because I'm a 28-year-old fucking man and I watch Northern Lion play Balatron. So it seemed like a surprise.
I never watched anybody besides Athene. I always thought all streamers were... Well, I can't say that. I thought everybody who streamed games was garbage at games. Most of the people were garbage. I looked at the WoW streamers. They all sucked. They weren't as good as me. Why would I want to watch them? I could just watch videos of myself.
Me, and she handled
That's
it really
the
well.
way I thought about it.
After finding out live on stream, hey, I'm grateful for the opportunities. I'll never forget when I got the phone call to join FaZe, the friends I made along the way. Thank you, and wishing them the best. Here's to a new beginning, which is classy. But not all of the OG founders of FaZe felt the same, because FaZe Adapt, for whatever reason, tweeted out, didn't get a dime from them in response to Kaylee saying,
join
that,
the
hey,
fucking club.
You know, a dime from FaZe. I was in it from passion.
Yeah.
And then he said, join the fucking club. Where's the girl from Stranger Things? Which is like, I don't know why. I feel like you could just be like, hey, thanks for being a member. But Banks handled it a little better. Said, today sucks. I promise the only reason you were let go is because genuine relationship couldn't have been formed. And he goes on to basically say that he's trying to make sure that everyone in FaZe is someone that is like a, ride or die friend. And you fell into this corpo bucket and got hired at a time where it wasn't about the friends, but about the corporation owned it. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but you get the idea. Man. And to really explain what's going on.
I love the best part is that... So is me calling you a retard right now a corporate PR response too? In case you haven't noticed or aren't familiar with me, I don't give a fuck. Never gave a single fuck about anyone's opinion. I'm doing this, especially not in this context. See, that's FaZe Clan right there. Getting right back the way FaZe is back. In a big way.
I'm kind of paraphrasing, but you get the idea. And to really explain what's going on here, at its core, FaZe Banks is running the operation. And maybe he doesn't own the majority share, but he does seem to be making the calls. And the calls that he's making is trying to bring FaZe back to what it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is basically kind of like a content house, an org full of...
It was content bros doing things that young guys think are cool. That's what it was. And we can talk about whether they were cool or not. But if you're 17, I bet a lot of people... If you ask a lot of 17-year-old guys, I bet they thought that shit was really cool. Especially back then. It'll never go back to that? Of course it will. If it'll never go back to that, then explain people like Aiden Ross. There's kick streamers that are doing it right now, and they're massively popular. What do you mean? Do you think there are no more... Oh, nobody's 17 anymore? Do you really think 17-year-olds aren't stupid? It's different, though? No, it's not. Absolutely not. Whenever we were 14, we were watching bum fights, right? How many of you guys watch bum fights on, the school computers? Oh, I did all the time. A lot of my friends did. Now, would I watch that shit now? No, not really. But there's 14-year-olds now that watch bums on Kick get in fights. What's the difference? Come on. Come on. What are we doing here?
People who are friends, who all play games together.
Kimbo Slice, hell yeah.
A vibe and an energy that you catch watching it.
Backyard
don't
fights,
just take my word for it. That's what he also kind of talked about on this podcast with Bradley Martin.
If it's about not recreating, because you never recreate what happened, but if it's about getting back to the core value of it, then wouldn't it be about keeping video game creators?
Well, for sure. I mean, and the people, we're cutting all kinds of people.
Yeah,
we're cutting the roster down significantly. We had something like 140 employees this time last year. I think we have 30 right now. I want to cut that down.
140 employees? And they went down from 140 to 30? That's crazy. That's like fucking 1 in 4 person. It's lower than that even survives. It's a bloodbath, yeah.
10. I firmly believe
it's a plague.
That as long as the brand is taken care of, as long as the people who are a part of the brand, that roster of 10 people are all on the same page, have the same focus, have the same vision, and are incentivized the right way. Like the corner.
He's right. He's right about all of this.
Like us paying members to put FaZe in their name and having that be the relationship.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't work.
No, I think he's probably right on that last part.
There it is.
I don't think it does work for an esports org to simply pay someone transactionally and then have a deliverable where you are now like a FaZe or be it 100 Thieves.
Well, no, because like Ludwig knows this, right? Like that was the way that a lot of orgs did business. And the reason why they did that actually was like this might be something, I don't know, should I talk about this? I'll just talk about it. Like a lot of them had deals with Twitch where they would get money from the revenue that these people would make off of ads. And so they could get more and more people and farm more and more people with more and more ads. And so that's the reason why a lot of them did this, is that they built up more and more people in order to just basically like have a org at scale, right? It's like if you have, 10 cookie machines and they're making 10 cookies a minute. Well, if you have 100 cookie machines and you're getting 100 cookies a minute, that's a lot of cookies. That's the way it works. And so that's why a lot of companies were doing that. And also back then, a lot of people were way looser with money because esports had never really hit kind of the cap that it hit, I would say, last year, where like finally esports isn't growing anymore. And like in general for like investments, you can get a lot of investment on something that's unpredictable. People will give you way more money for something that they can't predict what's going to happen versus they can. It sounds weird, but that's the way it is.
Person
in a lot of cases,
you have to be more involved with the org. You have to actually care about it outside of it is just a paycheck. But he's made some pretty brash moves. I mean, like he said, he's fired
80-20 Tfue contract. Yeah.
110 people, not all influencers, some behind the scenes people, but that is a big change, and he wants to narrow it down to 10.
That's probably the right decision too. I unironically think they're making the right call.
Which means maybe there are more cuts to come. And the goal is eventually to go back to the New York house. And if you know nothing about FaZe, you need to know this was basically the golden era. It was a house that
Look
they
at
owned.
this, bro. 15 million views. That is fucking crazy. Bro, these guys ran YouTube.
In New York, where they all hung out, made vlogs together,
2.8 million.
And had many, many viral moments.
Yo! No fucking way! Thank you, bro.
No problem.
And there are hundreds and hundreds.
What was 8 years ago? Jesus, that was only 2016. Oh my God. Jesus.
And hundreds of videos.
Yeah,
Look at
I was
this
streaming
playlist.
then.
These are all videos.
Yeah, look at this.
From this New York house.
Look, 2.3 million.
And every FaZe
Some random
fan
fucking view.
harkens back
random
to these
video.
times.
Almost half a million
like
views.
This is what Banks wants to go back to.
Yeah.
Or at least the core of it is a group of friends who will game together, who are all trying to
Dude, FaZe was so clouded. Like, they were. I remember Cloaksy. Like, so he was roommates with, like, Train and Mitch. And I remember we went downtown and we were talking because, like, that's whenever FaZe had first approached him to join. And I told him, I was like, bro, if they pay you $0.00, you take it. Take it because they will actually increase your online presence and actually grow your brand. And they did. And also, of course, Cloaksy being one of the best Fortnite players in the world helped too. But FaZe definitely made that happen a lot faster, I think, than playing with Tfue and everything. 100%.
FaZe together and be greater than the sum of their parts.
Yeah.
Which makes sense to me on the surface.
Fuck yeah, man.
But does raise some questions about some different actions that FaZe has taken recently. Because after cutting those 17 or so people who were considered corpo or not, the right vibe, they instantly started re-signing people, or I should say signing new people. Starting with Max, the signing was announced yesterday.
Like, what is the point?
And this is just a 4-minute announcement video. We won't watch the whole thing, but you get the idea. He was signed on to be a part of FaZe.
Can't do that here.
We could just use this fat bag of bread I brought.
With his fat bag of bread that he brought.
This is, again, that is the FaZe douchebag energy that made them so popular. That's what it was all about, bro. man. And it's like, I feel like at a certain point, like it used to kind of annoy me, but now I feel like, maybe this is just me, but like now that a lot of the old guys are like all in their 30s and they're still talking like that, still acting like that, I kind of respect it. It's like you, bro, like you're not quitting, you're not fucking, like going out golfing or some bullshit. Like you're still grinding, you're still in there, you're still down in the trenches on the streets. You're not growing up, man. Fuck that shit. Still getting bags of bread, filming videos like this. Yeah, I do. I love it. Fuck.
The idea. That's not the only one, though. They signed someone else today. Silky Season was also signed. He is a new member of FaZe. And FaZe Banks tweeted out 2 of 4, implying that there are 2 more people who are going to be signed. And I found this tweet randomly, all right? This is a little bit of a journalism hat. Take it for what you will. I am not saying this is true. I do not have any insider information. But this did come out before the Silky signing was announced, and it said the next signings are going to also...
I don't know any of these guys, honestly.
I have no idea there. And Lacey, which basically means they're about to sign 4 like just chatting streamers, 4 people who are like pretty funny, who I don't think
they're all friends.
Are like very closely associated with FaZe, but maybe it's Banks spotting some talent and he wants to rise that talent together. And to Banks' credit, if this is going to happen, if he's going to pull this off,
because they're never going to get past, like if you Google FaZe, it's not good. Like there's never going to be a point where FaZe isn't like a controversial org. It's never going to happen. So just stop trying to make it happen.
Going to make FaZe big again. All right. It is going to happen because I think of one of his skills, which is talent acquisition. Yep. All right. And I don't say this lightly. I actually do believe Banks has a good eye of picking up new talent in the streaming scene and adding them to the squad. So I think that can work. Now, the 2 things that I do worry about are, 1, FaZe's troubled reputation. The
troubled reputation is with people that aren't their audience. Bro, he looks like a pirate.
I do want to go back.
Okay, that's better. Yeah, it's like they have a bad reputation with like 31-year-old Redditors. But that's not really who they're going for. That's not who they're looking to appeal to. So why would it matter if they have a bad reputation with a bunch of people that don't like them? Like, for example, look at me. So, like, do I have a bad reputation on Twitter? Yeah. Does it matter? No. Do you know why? Because there's a lot of people that don't give a fuck. So instead of trying to water down your content and water down your personality and be fake in order to get the attention of people that you don't even like, double down on being a dickhead and make content for other dickheads. Just how it is.
Back to 2016, but you can't like ignore the past 10 years. They fucked up a lot of shit along the way. It's going to be hard to build trust back there. And then 2, his seemingly obsession with crypto. I don't fucking get involved.
How do you have this, bro? Like, this is so embarrassing. How do you still have an NFT profile picture? Just stop it, man. Just go back to that picture with him being like with a bunch of money in his hands. Like, just go back. That was a great picture from like 2000 and like 17. Just go use that one again.
So
I remember this.
To me, crypto is mostly a battlegrounds for scams. And trying to
the battleground is the scammers fighting against other scammers of who scams the same people. By the way, it's not like people are fighting against
into pumping and dumping. That's most of the value I've seen.
Yeah.
Or NFTs that I think are ugly. But he is a big believer
They're
in
all
it.
ugly.
And it feels like there are some signs that he might try to have some sort of Web3 involvement with FaZe. I don't know how the fuck it'll work.
I will be disappointed if they don't start hawking a new crypto. Like, if FaZe Clan does a big comeback and they don't try to sell a cryptocurrency, I'll be disappointed. Because, like, I feel like that's part of the nostalgia. That's part of the vibe. Yeah, come on.
We'll see. I think that's one risk. That's another concern. But maybe a positive sign is all the FaZe news is getting clicks.
Yeah.
It's getting eyeballs. There were 4 videos made about the FaZe cuts in keeps, and they all are like trending. Number 3 trending, number 12 trending, number 35 trending, number 46 trending. Now, of course, it's drama. Drama trends. People click on videos about drama. We'll see if the views sustain and create like an actual hardcore fan base. But that's where we are right now. It's FaZe Banks making the calls. GameSquare is the majority owner for now. 2 more signings are expected to come, possibly the people that were leaked in that tweet. And maybe in a year from now, they're in a better spot. At least their stock can't go any lower. Anyway, thank you for watching. We'll see.
Oh, it can. But it probably won't.
I'll keep you updated in a video probably a year from now. Goodbye.
GameSquare want profits and then shitify it whenever it's good? Maybe. I don't know. Like, I'll tell you this, right? I feel like FaZe is making the right call by going back to basics, man. Check FaZe stock. Well, they're off the exchange, so like I can't really check their stock. They just got bought out for like, what was he said, like 15, 16 mil? So yeah, that's it. It's delisted, yeah. But I mean, like the value of the company can still go down. I mean, like you can see, like publicly traded companies are not the only companies that have a valuation, right? Let's be honest. So you do have fun with it, makes it all worth it. Yeah, exactly. Like if you're trying to go and build a brand, the best way to do that is to do it with like a small group of people that everybody knows and then slowly integrate more people in at like, you know, a small period of time. Like whenever you start adding in a lot of people to a group, that's whenever I think that you lose that that special vibe. And it's like very hard for me to say because like obviously I've had to make decisions like this myself. And parasocial connection, well, it's not even really just the parasocial connection. It's like in TV shows, they don't usually add in a bunch of new characters at the same time for a TV show. Usually they add in 1 or 2 new characters every single season. So it's like you look at The Office, it's not like they added in Andy on day 1. They didn't bring Daryl into the office on day 1. They didn't do that. Like they give it time, and like I think Aaron's another one that was like came on later on. Yeah, and so Andy, exactly. And so you bring them on slowly, so that way people still feel like it's the same thing. FaZe catered to specific demographics of young adults, and they chose to change, and they started to fall off. Exactly, yeah. Like, and it's hard, right? Because like whenever you're catering to young guys, the problem is that you sometimes get older. And like for me, I see a lot of content that I used to do was like way more catered towards like younger guys. And like now it's not really quite as much. I mean, there's a huge overlap, right? But at the same time, there's not a 1-for-1. And I think that's what happens. And so I'm going to be really curious to see what happens with FaZe. But I do think they're making the right call. They are. FaZe Clan are pioneers, the original OGs. They are. They genuinely are. And for better or for worse, they were some of the original pioneers with streaming, making videos, content houses, everything like that. They were massive, man. And so I'm going to be really curious to see what they do. There's unfortunately a huge overlap between 16-year-olds and 30-year-old men. Yeah, because that's the thing is that, like, I remember, I think this is at like Thanksgiving or something like that. And like some kid was there, and I don't want to get into like all the specifics, right? But there's like young kid there, and he pulled out a video, and it was a video of like, it was like a dick joke video or something like that. And this kid's like 7 or 8, and he shows it to me, and I'm laughing at it. Then he shows it to his grandpa. His grandpa's laughing at it. Then he shows it to my dad, and then my dad's like, like it doesn't even matter. Like, yeah, if you're 20 or 50 or 70, yeah, good one. That's funny. Yeah. Everything that's sweet and big until it gets sick and tired. Yeah, exactly. And so I do think that that's the right call for them to make, man.